Welcome to the 2020 Human Rights Day celebration by the Southern Illinois chapter of the United Nations Association of the United States. My name is Cindy Buys, and I am a board member of the Southern Illinois chapter of UNA. Thank you very much to the Carbondale Library for hosting us this evening, and thank you to everyone who's joining us. We are delighted to have you here. Each day on December 10th, we celebrate Human Rights Day to commemorate the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on this day in 1948. This year's theme for Human Rights Day is Recover Better, Stand Up for Human Rights. This theme relates to COVID-19 and focuses on the need to build back better by ensuring that human rights are central to our recovery efforts. We will reach our common global goals only if we are able to create equal opportunities for all, address the failures that have been exposed and exploited by COVID-19, and apply human rights standards to tackle entrenched, systematic, and intergenerational inequalities, exclusion, and discrimination. December 10th is an opportunity to reaffirm the importance of human rights in rebuilding the world we want. We need to reestablish our need for global solidarity, as well as our interconnectedness and our common humanity. We have a very interesting program planned for you this evening. Our program this year focuses on the issue of human trafficking. And we will be also presenting our 11th annual Human Rights Day Award this evening to our recipient from Southern Illinois. Our first guest speaker this evening is Mr. Tim Metta, who will introduce himself and then provide you with a program on human trafficking. Thank you again.
Hi, my name is Tim Metta, and I hold a BS degree, a Bachelor of Science degree in mechanical engineering. I have 10 plus years in work experience as a systems engineer in power generation. In 2012, I made a bold move in my career, which created opportunities for me to participate in helping women being rescued from human trafficking in India. Currently, I'm pursuing a master's degree here at Southern Illinois in architecture. And my research consists of creating rehabilitating supportive spaces for those rescued from human trafficking. In my design, I incorporate human need, culture, climate, and space to create a place that would benefit human development to overcome the obstacles related to human trafficking abuse. So I chose human trafficking as my topic for my architectural design thesis. I would like to thank my committee members for their variable inputs, Dr. Jakowski, Lori Resnick, Dr. Rolando Gonzalez, and Peter Smith. I have a 2-minute video for you to watch. It is from a documentary called Stolen Innocence, which centers around human trafficking in India and non-government organizations who help to rescue and rehabilitate them. What you're about to watch captures the beginning process of rescuing girls from sex trafficking. Human trafficking is a global concern violating human rights with use of force, coercion, or fraud to exploit a person into slave labor or sexual exploitation. In 2014, it was estimated that there were 36 million human trafficking victims worldwide, 66% of which are from Asia. It is also said that 70% of humans trafficked involve sexual exploitation. Asian countries having the highest risk of human trafficking are India, China, and Pakistan. India being the most, having 14 million trafficked people. Prostitution districts are often referred to as red light areas. The locations of the top 8 red light areas in India are shown here. Sanagachi is located in Calcutta. Kamathapura is located in Mumbai, and many of them are located near the Indian-Nepal border. In 2012, I began contract work, which gave me ample time off. My father is from India, and I had been to India in the past, but I wanted to go to India to see the country more. I also wanted to do something that would make life more life-changing. So I thought, why not visit orphanages? I found a couple of orphanages, and as I traveled, I visited them. I visited an orphanage in Mumbai, which was also a place where women met who had been rescued from sex trafficking. Since 2012, I've been traveling to India helping as I can. In 2017, I traveled with the director of the organization to Calcutta, where we officially established rescue operations in the red light areas, and the work continues to expand today. Calcutta is located in the northeast state of West Bengal in India, and there are 5 main red light areas. Sanagachi at the top, at the most northern one, and all the rest are growing towards the south. There are rescue operations in place in all 5 red light areas. Rescuing a girl is a very dangerous process, but once rescued, she is placed in a safe house. Initially, the traffickers will search for her, so the initial time is shelter in place in the safe house. Safe houses can be compromised, meaning its location is discovered by traffickers, which means safe houses are constantly shifting around. Each safe house has 1 or 2 leaders, and on average houses roughly 24 women. But what happens to a girl after she has been in a safe house for 6 months or a year? What she needs is not necessarily the focus of the safe house. Safe houses are for keeping one safe, but rescued girls need more than just safety. So there needs to be another step in this process, and the solution could be a rehabilitation campus. For any further information on human trafficking, these documentaries are recommended. Nefarious discusses human trafficking on a global scale. Born into Brothels shares lives of children born to women in the brothels of India. Stolen Innocence focuses on non-government organizations in India. And Sold is a film based on a novel, but reflects true stories from India. The design of a rehabilitating campus faces many challenges. For instance, a woman rescued from sex trafficking may have low to no education, which creates an obstacle of being employed. Other than a safe house, she needs a path that would empower her with education and trade development, teaching her business strategies. Also faces discrimination, considers prostitutes and their children an avoidance. She needs a community that fits within its surrounding context, influencing the greater community to cherish life of any human, no matter one's history. As mentioned, in Calcutta, red light areas are trending southward, and this is due to the expansion of Calcutta's metro rail. The rehabilitation campus would offer architectural imagery and stands as an icon in combat to sex trafficking, at the same time symbolizing human potential and right to life. Women rescued often are adapted to the broken process of dehumanization. They feel less than and are accustomed to following orders. A rehabilitation campus should cater to a humanizing process, which would instill self-worth and confidence. Women rescued vary in age and can have children. A rehabilitating campus should include the needs of their children as well. There are established rehab centers located in India and Nepal. Sunitha Krishnan founded Pranjwal Rehab Center located near Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh. It can house 600 children and 600 women. In an interview with Sunitha Krishnan, she stated that there were women who came to the rehab center pretending to need help. They were let in, and in the middle of one night began violence and destroying the campus. Some of the women were arrested. Others were involved, but there was no way of knowing who. The women were human traffickers pretending to be victims. Kerala founded Metta in Nepal. It contains prevention homes, transit homes, hospice care, and formal school and a place to learn a trade. There are healing programs in Calcutta to aid rescued women in overcoming trauma and PTSD. Calcutta Savid uses dance movement therapy, which helps establish trust with others, which empowers the counseling process. New Light focuses on aiding the children with creative arts, music, dance, and physical education. All Bengal's Women's Union offer a wide range of projects, including the care for the elderly. And Destiny empowers women with employment, skills, and education with literacy programs. And their sewing produces yoga mat bags and blankets made from recycled saris. Missing Link Trust uses art and technology to bring awareness to human trafficking. Their efforts are changing public perceptions, educating communities and policymakers, hoping to inspire action to end modern day slavery. The single woman silhouette has become a symbolic language to remember missing girls. In the design process of the rehabilitating campus, I had to choose a site. Because of the southward trend of the red light areas, I chose Joka, located in South Calcutta. Joka has established institutions that a rehabilitating campus would need to be successful. There's established metro rails and stations provides travel convenience to the rehab campus. Business universities, primary schools, and colleges of technology and colleges of education. Hospitals, religious institutions such as temples, mosques, and churches. A new high-end residential complex, and natural parks to enjoy nature. I chose the site to be in the middle of all these supporting institutions. The site location would occupy 75 acres, with road access giving quick access to the nearby hospital and the primary schools. Located to the north is Indian Institute of Management in Calcutta. They offer a doctorate degree in business. Their participation in aiding women rescued from human trafficking would be to educate women and loans. Palin World School is a primary school. They could support by helping to educate the children. A nearby technical campus could provide computer training. College of Education would incorporate within its curriculum, allowing teachers to teach at the Rehab Campus. College of Management and Technologies could provide specific computer training in software. Child in Need Institute is an established hospital specifically for poor single women and their children. They could help with general medical needs. The main hospital can aid in any medical emergency. Having a rehab campus located near the new high-end residence can aid in breaking down societal norms. As a concept to the design, I chose the night blooming jasmine. It is West Bengal's state flower. Flowers are formed in clusters and they begin to open at dusk. This concept captures the blooming stages of women rescued from the darkness of human trafficking. Also, in respect to the Indian culture, I researched the Vastu Shastra, which suggests an architectural design of spaces and where they should be located. I also reviewed mandalas for design inspiration and chose the one seen here, which is a fractal. My architectural design produced a rehab center located in Jogja with an aerial view that looks like this. The rehab campus is named Jasmine's Bloom and contains many building types and places on 21.5 acres, surrounded by 21.5 acres of water. Spaces include residences, administration, a medical clinic, a place for education and trade development, a counseling center, a community dining hall with a harvest center, spaces for agriculture, greenhouses for flower gardening, an indoor gym, especially for use during monsoons, spaces for martial arts training, dance and theater, and an amphitheater, an open meditational center, and other outdoor recreational spaces for cricket play, soccer, badminton, and tennis. The program would be a 3-year duration with 24 ladies, the number of ladies in one safe house, entering annually. Each resident would house 3 women with an average 2 children each. In this way, in one home, one woman would have been there at least 2 years, another at least 1 year, and the other just joining. This enables proper mentoring among the women. Each woman with her 2 children would occupy 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom, sharing with the other 2 women a common living, dining, and kitchen area with both front and backyard areas to congregate. Homes are grouped into 4 housing 12 women and 24 children. Each number the even numbers for less chance of someone feeling lonely. Centered among the 4 homes is a shading canopy. Front veranda invites a conversation among the women. Back veranda aid in the family fun and conversation as well as children playing. It also allows room for drying laundry during monsoons. From custom Indian architecture, 4 chhatris, which are canopies or with an umbrella dome, are placed in 4 locations like this one, pinpointing north, south, east, and west. The canopy provides a place to escape and meditate while enjoying nature. Upper terraces give space for viewing as well as drying laundry. During the night, green light is used opposed to red light. Green light symbolizes gratitude and moving forward. A night view of the residences under full moon. At night, view from the high-end residency, challenging the broader community through architecture to welcome and be more accepting. Another aerial view showing the campus and 2 other spaces, a public garden space for the women to keep. A charge to enter the garden would be established, helping to fund the campus. And future development of transitional housing for women graduating from Jasmine's Bloom to reside as they make their steps into the surrounding community, having access to all the amenities of Jasmine's Bloom campus. Jasmine Bloom is to bring hope to the women rescued from human trafficking. In the center of the space stands 12 petals representing each woman in a housing cluster. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for that presentation. It sounds like an absolutely amazing project. At this time, we have a few minutes where we can entertain some questions and answers for Mr. Metta. I know I'm curious to know a little bit about where the project stands in terms of funding. Is it all conceptual at this point? Have you started any kind of building? Can you give us a little bit of an update on that?
Okay, so yes, there's no funding currently. It's just a conceptual design at this moment, but it is my desire to build something of it like it in India.
I certainly hope that that comes to fruition. So, are there other questions? If those who are attending are interested in asking questions about the project, you can do so using the Q&A function. We do have a question about whether there's any hope of government support for the program.
Yes, that would be an ideal situation. There are corruptions in government, so use of government would have to be proceeded with caution, knowing who to talk to, and things like that.
Okay, thank you. There's another question which asks, from a high school student's perspective, what could that student do at this stage to help protect or to help in general victims of human trafficking?
Well, you can, like with me, I had no idea what to do about human trafficking, but if you live your life and you have opportunities that come your way to help, or you see ways to helping people that you're surrounded with, that's where to start. Human trafficking, as a high school student, I would encourage education, get to know what women are coming out of human trafficking, what they suffer by, learn post-traumatic stress disorders, start to educate yourself in those type of things and how to treat them.
Thank you. Our next question asks, which state in India is the location of the project?
Yes, it's in West Bengal, up in the northeast.
Thank you. And we have a question that asks, who do you think would be the best people to begin sharing your vision with?
That's a good question. I think people like this, people that are who collectively come together that have the same view and for human rights, and hopefully be connected to people that do have money, because it will take lots of money to build this. So that's where I would start.
All right. Our next question says that the person asking the question says that they work with several nonprofit organizations and partners in India. And they also work with a lot of programs and encouraging women in India in past years. And there might be an opportunity to work together. So
Yeah.
perhaps after this program, we could put you in touch.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to.
Another person has asked whether you've considered starting a GoFundMe page.
That's a good idea.
All right. And another person wanted to know if you have any idea how much money it would take to make this vision happen.
No, I do not have any idea. I know it would be a lot.
All right. Other questions? So great questions, folks. Maybe while we're waiting to see if others have questions, you could talk a little bit about your own journey through this a little bit more. Where are you in terms of your dissertation? How much more do you have to go? What's your timeline?
Yes, I plan on graduating next spring, into the spring semester.
So you're very close to being done.
Yes, I'm very
Excellent.
close.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So another person has asked whether you have time to show us a more detailed floor plan, something that you might use, for example, in one of the residential units.
Mm-hmm. I did show a floor plan in the residential unit. It's a three bedroom, 3 BHK with a main living room and a kitchen, where the three women would share a common living room, kitchen, and also a laundry room. But each woman with 2 children each would have their own bedroom and water closet.
Thank you. And another question asks whether there are any volunteer opportunities for high school and college students with respect to your project.
Absolutely. I've been part of actually a college or also a high school touring to India, and where we visit different places, different human rescue places and orphanages. So yes, there are opportunities like that.
So was that through a particular organization that you connected with?
No, I was from a university here in Nashville, and they did university tourings.
Okay, thank you. There's another question that asks why you've included the moat or the lake. Is it defensive or aesthetic, or what's the purpose of the water surrounding the campus?
Well, it's the context of the place. The Indian Management School of Management, its campus is surrounded by water. So I also use that same concept, but also the flower in the water concept is to create that the night blooming jasmine. I know it doesn't grow in water, but it's a flower in the water. But it is also for security, and also when one moves through redevelopments and development stages, nature plays a big role in that. To be able to go out and be quaint and listen to nature is calming to one's soul. And so the movement of water, the breeze and the birds. Water is a life source for many things.
Well, it's certainly beautiful. Any other questions from the audience? Another person has asked if you could walk us through what happens when a woman arrives at the facility. Like, where would she go first? What would be the purpose of the different buildings, that sort of thing?
Yes. So on the campus, there's first is the administration building, where a group of 12 women would come through and go into the administration building. She would be met by a social caseworker who would check them in, and they would immediately get a medical checkup. And then they would proceed to their place of residency, where they would meet their other two women that they would be living with. And then they would have time to, during their time there, they would have monthly medical camps for women who are suffering from, especially from HIV, or have diabetes or any other medical ailment. They also, if they needed medical treatment, there would be a hospital stay on campus for minor things like dehydration, diabetic, any emergency cases. They could be taken to the hospital nearby. Also, the school would have the campus trade development stages. So every day they would be going to that school on campus to learn their trade or learn, to be taught through education. And then they would have the counseling center also, where they could go and have a one-on-one session with a counselor. Other than that, they have plenty of opportunities to play with other residency through badminton, tennis, or playing soccer, or the children could be playing cricket, and so many other things are opportunities during this on this campus. And there's agricultural places to where the women can work the grounds and produce rice, produce whatever types of crops, and they would bring it into the common dining hall. The women would have kitchens in their own homes where they would cook, but once a month they could gather together at the common dining hall, where one group of women would cook and serve the other women. And also they would have that next door, there would be that garden space that would be open to the public, but for a price. But women would produce flowers in their greenhouses, and they could flower and decorate the campus, as well as the garden space for the community.
Wow, that's a lot. Great.
Yes.
So one of the audience members said they thought it was a great project, and suggested that you start small and expand to a full vision later, as the funding might be difficult.
Yes.
Another member of the audience asked whether there are any similar facilities in India for distressed women.
Yes, there is. Pranjwal, which is one I discussed, it's located in Andhra Pradesh, and it houses 600 women and 600 children. But the instance that I was speaking of, where human traffickers pretending to be victims came to the campus and they were let in, and during the night they caused a lot of damage to the campus. And so this is one of the reasons why this campus would be limited to only 72 women, because it's you're more able to keep security in, and there's more one-on-one time with the women.
Another member of the audience said, "Thank you for this amazing vision," and asked whether they could stay in contact with you if they have ideas or other questions. I don't know if you're willing and able to put like an email in the chat function or anything like that that the audience could see.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay. And while you're doing that, we do have a couple more questions and then we're going to move on to another part of the program, but I want to make sure that people get their questions answered. One member of the audience said, "You were saying that the existing rehab centers sometimes experience violence. When considering a site location, would you worry about the backlash from the community?"
Absolutely. There needs to be, and when building something like this, there needs to be community awareness. But there's always going to be backlash, and it's just it would be a trying time. But you have to stay focused and be driven, and definitely have a group of people that would be able to work with you and move through those challenges.
Yeah, and a related question came from another audience member that asked about what kind of security you might have to guard the facility.
Well, at the entrance, common in India, the entrance would be a gate and a guard that would check in anybody coming and going. And of course, the whole facility has a wall around it. And of course, there would be cameras and other technical advances that could be used.
All right. And so for our last audience question, the question is, what environmental considerations did you plan for, and what energy needs would be required? Have you taken into account green energy efficiencies in the architectural planning?
Yes. Well, in the homes, I use the solar panels. Also, I did environmental studies on the wind patterns and also the sun paths. And I tried to incorporate, for instance, creating a stairwell in the middle of it where air draft will come into the building and out the top, like a stack effect. All the homes are open to air flowing through them. And so, yes, I did take that into consideration. The one other thing about this is in the area, there's like small streams that run through that land. And so those would be used as to keep the water moving through those lakes that would be created around the campus. And then the water would discharge out and go toward a nearby river canal.
Well, wonderful. Thank you again, and congratulations on really an amazing vision. I hope that someday you will be able to see that come to fruition. And thank you to our audience for those great questions. I did see that you put your email in the chat, so folks
Yes.
can keep in touch with you that way. So that's wonderful. Maybe the audience could join us in a virtual round of applause for our speaker this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah. With that, we're going to move on to the next part of our program. Our UNA Southern Illinois chapter each year for the last 11 years has awarded a Human Rights Day award to a member of the Southern Illinois community who has done important work in the area of human rights. And this year, it is our great pleasure to recognize Lori Resnick, who is a professor and associate program director and one of the founders of the Physician's Assistance Program at the SIU School of Medicine, for her work on human trafficking. Ms. Resnick has been teaching high school and college students, PA students, medical and nursing students, as well as physicians, allied health personnel, and educators about human trafficking for several years. She's also presented about human trafficking and the medical evaluation of state, national, and international conferences. She's organized conferences about human trafficking around the Central and Southern Illinois region, and has helped curate a trafficking and trauma survivor art show in Springfield, Illinois. She's a member of the Central Illinois Human Trafficking Task Force, and serves on the board of directors of Butterfly Dreams Alliance, a trafficking, abuse, and violence survivors not-for-profit organization. She has provided expert testimony to the governor's task force on human trafficking. She has cared for patients who are victims and survivors of trafficking in her family medicine practice. Ms. Resnick has been personally active in human trafficking efforts for the last 15 years. She focuses on the healthcare system, healthcare issues, and the long-term physical and mental health effects of human trafficking. And for her work with human traffickers, the Southern Illinois chapter of the United Nations Association is delighted to recognize her work with the 2020 Human Rights Award. So again, you'll have to join me virtually in giving a round of applause to Ms. Lori Resnick, and we'll give her just a few minutes to talk about her work now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to recognize Tim in all the work that you've done. It's been truly amazing to be a part of the process that you've been working on as part of your master's thesis, to see the vision and creative process that you've worked on along with your professors, and to see the contribution that you've done and that they have put together, your ideas, constructive feedback, the synthesis and application of knowledge, but also the passion and love that you've put into that and that they have put into that to make truly an impactful project that could really change lives. Has really impressed me and makes me proud to be part of SIU. So thank you, Tim. I'm really proud of you. And when I think, I want to tell you a story. When I met Helen, I wept. That was over 16 years ago in Kansas City. Helen was a trafficking survivor who told her story to educate others to recognize trafficking. I wept because I realized all the patients that I had missed who had been trafficked. And I vowed at that point in time that I would be a voice for them. So I thank you very much for this honor and for this award. I'm really humbled that you thought of me for it, but please know that I accept this not for me, but for them, for the people whose voice that I represent here today, for those who have been trafficked. The truth is that trafficking is happening here in our towns, and at our university. It is in our schools and in our homes and in our children's homes. It happens on our streets, outside our grocery stores, at our parties, in foster care homes, in churches, in bars, hotels, and especially through the internet. But all of you here tonight listening, you can be a voice for those who haven't had their voice heard yet. If you're in Nashville or Chicago or Southern Illinois or St. Louis, or those in India or around the world, they need your voice. We can speak up. We can ask, are you okay? We can make the call to the human trafficking hotline. We can see these people. We can see them and say, are they being trafficked? We can see that they're not prostitutes. They're people who don't want to be there. They're being trafficked. We can become educated about trafficking and learn the red flags and share that knowledge. We can watch that we're not putting survivors on display for their stories, but rather honoring them for who they are as people and their intellect and their skills and talents. We can offer them seats at the table so that their voices can not only be heard, but they can be driving forces behind legislation and policy and funding and healthcare and programs and social services. We can mentor survivors so that they can lead organizations that can make a difference in people's lives, so that they can overcome the horrors that they have faced with dignity and power. We can give or volunteer for organizations that fight for the boys and the girls and the LGBT youth and adult victims and survivors. So on this Human Rights Day, internationally and locally, I thank you for all that you have done and will do. And I'm so glad we have students asking what they can do. And so I thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those words.
Yeah.
We are really, it's our honor to present this award to you for your work. We know that there are people who are suffering from the effects of human trafficking every day, who need all of the resources and support that you and all the others on the task force and working, around the country and around the world on these issues can provide. So very important work, and congratulations again on the award. Hopefully that will serve to bring some additional attention to those issues.
Thank you, Cindy.
And to the audience, thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you're not a member of the United Nations Association of Southern Illinois, we certainly invite you to join us. You can find us on our Facebook page. We also have a website. We would love to have you as a member of our group. Help us to put on some other great quality programs, be part of the work of human rights and the other work that is being done globally, fighting COVID, creating a more sustainable world, all the goals that the United Nations stands for. So we hope that you will join us. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Metta, for an amazing presentation and vision. Thank you, Ms. Resnick, for your work with trafficking survivors and educating us all. And we look forward to seeing